Welcome everyone to another career panel discussion for Sonoma County CareerFest. This is a technology and engineering panel where we will learn what it takes to work in a tech-driven career, but also how to stay up with an industry that's really rapidly evolving right now with technology like automation, robotics, and internet connectivity. My name is Brandon Jewell. I am with the CTE Foundation, and in the background, we have Wendy Swanson working with us from Sonoma Valley High School, Elizabeth Arndt and Chris Catelli, both from Sonoma County Office of Education. They're running things in the background, so big thank you to them. And I also want to introduce our panelists today. First, we have Christine Nee. She's a corporate acquisitions and integrations at Medtronic. And Bert Pires from Amy's Kitchen. He's Vice President of Engineering. And joining us, oh, there you are, Farid. Good to see you, Farid. We have the chair of Sonoma State University Department of Engineering Sciences. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Before I get into my first question, though, I do want to tell the students, during this, we have some questions we're going to ask of the panel, but at the end, we are carving out some time for the students to ask some questions. So as we go through, please feel free to use the Q&A function in the at the bottom of your screen in Zoom. And Wendy Swanson, like I said, is in the background. She's going to be looking at all your questions, and she's going to bring some of the best ones forward during that last part when we're doing Q&A from the students. So, okay, so let's get started. I first want to ask Christine and Bert, because both of you work in a manufacturing / engineering industry. Please provide an overview of what you do in your career and the education and career path that you took to get where you are now. And I'm going to have you start, Christine, if you could.
Yeah, sure. So hi, everybody. My name is Christine. I sit here in Santa Rosa. I'm originally from Ireland. I have been 11 years with Medtronic, and 10 of those years I spent in what we call NPD, which is new product development, as a reliability design assurance engineer. So essentially my job was working on the research and development side of things to make sure the products that we create for our patients are safe and reliable for their use in the future. So currently my new role is in acquisitions and integration. So I've moved into a corporate role whereby I'm supporting where we acquire startup technology or newer companies and then integrate them into Medtronic overall. I suppose my start in my career in Medtronic was a little bit kind of by accident, I would say. I did biomedical science back in college in Galway in Ireland. I came out of college during a recession, which is never a nice time to try to find a job when you come out of college. And so I started in Medtronic, and as I started, I turned up in the quality function in new product development. And I was lucky enough, I think, to really be in the right location. I've kind of honed it over the years, so I've kind of really focused on the activities that I liked, but that's essentially where I am today. Does that answer your question, Brandon? Or?
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
I just kind of have a side question, coming from Ireland, I'm really curious about what it is about Santa Rosa, or I should say Sonoma County in general, that really drew you here.
Yeah, so my husband and I both work for Medtronic, and there's actually a huge population of Irish people who live here in Santa Rosa and came from Galway in Ireland. We're not unique. I suppose we were drawn by the opportunity. We're lucky enough here that the Medtronic facility in Santa Rosa is primarily research and development focused as opposed to larger scale manufacturing. So there was great opportunity for kind of growth and development in our career here. And then if anybody knows anything about Ireland, it rains a lot. Our weather is less than ideal. So we were excited to try something new. We'd heard about California. We got here, it was even better than we expected. So that's what brought us here. And we stayed for just Santa Rosa and the community that it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who, me being one of them, grew up here. Sometimes we take for granted what we have in Sonoma County, and it really is a wonderful place to live. Bert, I'm going to go to you next. As the Vice President of Engineering at Amy's, I'd love to learn what you do in your career and the education career path that you took to get to where you're at.
Sure. So just like Christine, I'm also not born in the US. So I'm originally from Portugal. I came here as a foreign student many years ago. I'm not going to state the date. And from schooling, I have a mechanical engineering degree. And I've worked in multiple industries, always manufacturing, from heavy metals to cookies and crackers, meat, dairy, confectionery, and frozen meals. So I've been with Amy's since 2002. I did take time off from Amy's from 2014 to 2018, where I led an operations team for the confectionery company. But since I've been back at Amy's since 2018. My responsibility is mainly to manage and maintain all building utilities and processing manufacturing equipment for Amy's. I'm also responsible for managing their capital investment program, including new facilities, new production lines, work closely with our commercialization team on new products to roll out to our consumers, and truly enjoy what I do.
So, Bert, what was it that really it sparked your interest and inspired you into going into an engineering career?
Probably several factors, and I'm not going to say one is higher than others, but I truly enjoyed taking things apart when I was younger. So at the time, I did not know what that meant. Later on, I did realize what that meant. And mechanical engineering, probably from around 14, 15 years old, was in my mind. Not civil, not electrical, but I always had in my mind mechanical engineering from fairly early on. I truly enjoyed math and physics, so that was a fairly easy path for me once you realize that engineering, bases their foundation on a lot of math and a lot of physics. I also felt, I was thinking a little bit ahead that engineers are always going to be needed in the world. So from a career path and security of trying to secure a job, that I felt that engineering would be probably a good career path for me from that aspect. I enjoyed working with people and teams. That's something that I always enjoyed from early on. And again, going back to Christine, I don't know about Farid's background, but being from Europe, soccer was a big deal for us. Always enjoyed playing soccer in my younger years. So working and being part of the team was something that I truly enjoyed. And lastly, and not with the least importance, the fact that I truly have a keen interest on finding solutions to challenges. And that's really what we encounter almost on a daily basis on a manufacturing environment, is a lot of challenges and trying to come up and help the other teams in the manufacturing side to arrive at efficient, affordable solutions.
Thank you. Now, moving on to you, Farid, you also pursued a career in technology and engineering, but in this case as an educator. And so I'd like to know, what was your path into getting into your career?
Sure. I initially wanted to become a professional soccer player, but somehow my dad actually changed my mind. So that didn't work out quite well. And I'm glad I didn't join. But yeah, I did most of my schooling actually in Dallas, Texas. After school, I never really meant to be in educational field and space. I actually got a job with a telecommunication company in Texas. I was working there for a few years, and then after that, I joined the research center at AT&T in Texas. So I was working there for about 8 years or so, close to 9 years. And then a few years after that, I joined another startup company, and we actually had a very interesting and unique product. And so I was there for a few years. And at that time, I had started kind of teaching part-time, one class per semester. And I really liked it. I really enjoyed working with the students and kind of, the whole teaching environment. So eventually one class became two. And at some point I just said, hey, this is interesting. Let's just do it for full time. And that's how I kind of got into teaching. At the time I was looking for a full-time teaching position in Texas, and I got something in Connecticut. Connecticut was too cold. I couldn't take it. So I left Connecticut, and eventually I ended up coming to California. And I've been here for the past 10 years. I have been teaching in the engineering department at Sonoma State, and currently we're basically Yeah, we currently have a couple programs for students. We actually have some interesting summer camps for high school students. So it's fun, and I still think it's really a rewarding job as a teacher to kind of work with the students and kind of see if, you know, the experience that you've had, try to relate that to students.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like if you're going to be teaching back engineering concepts all day, I mean, I feel like you'd have to really, really enjoy it. And I really wonder what it is about engineering, Farid, that that really speaks to you and that you love about it.
Yeah, I think that the most interesting aspect of it is the fact that it's every day there's something new, right? You know, the technology is constantly changing. I was talking to an English professor the other day, and we were talking about, you know, all the curriculum changes and stuff. And it turned out that their curriculum hadn't been changed since 1982. It's the same courses, same books, same thing, because it doesn't change as much. You know, it's the same basic stuff. But I think just imagine over the just 5 years, last 5 years, how many new things have been added. And I think it's really a field that's constantly changing, and you constantly have to keep up with it, and you constantly have to learn. So one of the things that we always try to tell the students is that, you know, if you think once you graduate, that's the end of learning, you're definitely mistaken. The only reason you go to school is just learn how to learn. And then after that, you kind of have to do it on your own. So that's really why you go to school, just kind of find the best way of learning yourself, because you constantly have to do this. And I think that's really interesting to be in a field that you constantly have to challenge yourself. You have to learn new stuff, new technologies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like to touch on that a little bit more, because when we're talking about careers in technology or engineering or manufacturing, we have to touch on the fact that we are going through a big change right now, often called the fourth industrial revolution. And that's, you know, over the past 10 years or so, we've seen major advances in smart technology and internet connectivity and automation and robotics. And with everything changing so rapidly, how can students begin to prepare for this? You know, or better yet, how can students prepare so that when they join the workforce, they can thrive in a technological world? And I maybe I'll start out with you, Farid. We can kind of continue on that since you sparked that idea. What are your thoughts on that? What can students do to really thrive in such a rapidly changing industry?
Right. I think as far as like how they can present themselves to new job opportunities, I'm sure Christine and Bert can talk a little more about that. But I think at the school, one of the main things that the students need to understand is basically understanding the basic skills. These basic skills include maybe soft skills, how to talk to people, how to present your ideas, how to actually work in a team, how to work, you know, on different projects, multidisciplinary project with different people from other background, other ideas, how to deal with conflicts. Those are, you know, some of the basic things that perhaps we can learn as a result of going to university for 4 years, for example. But at the same time, there needs to be some fundamental understanding of basic engineering concepts. You know, if you're a mechanical engineer, you got to understand like free body, kind of like how do you actually distribute forces. If you got electrical engineer, you have to understand the basic idea behind building a circuit, for example, how to put a circuit together. I always, you know, always students ask, so do I have to be really good in maths? Well, not really. Maths for engineers is just a tool, just like any other, you know, just like a screwdriver. If you don't have a screwdriver, you can't really do much, but you don't become a mechanic just to learn how to use a screwdriver. Maths, sciences, physics, these are all tools that engineers have to use in order to create new products, new stuff. And so you don't have to be absolutely, you know, really good in all of these things. But as you go, as long as you have interest in terms of creating new products, understanding how things work, I think 90% of the job is done. Now it's just learning those skills to basically take it to the next level and you create something new. And I think that's, if we can do that over the 4 years of education that students with us can gain that kind of understanding, I think we've done plenty.
Great, thank you. Christine, I'll move to you. Similar,
Yeah.
you know, same question. What kind of things can students do to really prepare for and then succeed during this fourth industrial revolution?
Yeah. So I think they're already doing it, right? So one of the biggest challenges we have in a company like Medtronic or Med Device in general is communication. So if you think about Medtronic, it's 100,000 employees scattered all around the world. It's how we communicate rapidly with one another in an unbiased way. So I think a lot of it is when you come into an industry like this is to think that you're not going to encounter people who are always going to be very similar to you. It's having that openness to conversation and understanding other people and the way they think. And then the tools we're using, if you look at what happened with COVID, we're coming up on just over a year ago where, you know, we design, like the group I was in was designing heart valves. So we're designing heart valves, we're part of a clinical trial, we're manufacturing, and we're all sent home. So we all had to work out of our homes all of a sudden. And Microsoft Teams was just pushed out just to help this essentially. So we all had to rapidly kind of, I suppose, learn how to use Microsoft Teams. So things like that is probably more of a learning curve maybe for me, but as you're coming up and you're using a lot of technology to communicate daily with your friends, it's going to be a similar sense when you actually get into industry. The interesting thing about industry too is industry's preparing for the fourth revolution in a different way, right? So we're even looking at how we train people. This kind of more archaic read and acknowledge way of doing things is changing into more YouTube tutorials and like a TikTok video to teach you how to do things. We're trying to accommodate for the future. So what you're already doing is good. I think it's the mindset you bring in that's the most important piece when you do something. Yeah,
my organization also switched to Teams, which is a game changer for, you know, working remotely. And I'd also say that just for the students that are watching this right now, what they have to go through with their school right now, transitioning to distance learning, is a very similar process of what companies had to do as well. We, you know, the whole world had to switch to this distance model, and so the skills that students are learning now and having to deal with school this way is going to really help them in the future career, whatever that career that may be. Bert, what are your thoughts on how students can prepare for, you know, what's this rapidly changing technology industry?
So I'm probably going to touch bases on some of the topics that both Farid and Christine just mentioned. But the same thing with us. Prior to COVID, I never imagined in my wildest dreams that I would be working from home for 14 months straight. And starting last March, and especially with my area of work where I do interact a lot with teams and I do work, spend a lot of time at the manufacturing plants, I never really thought that that was something possible. So just like everyone's experience in the last 14 months, the communication piece and the new tools that have been made available to us to facilitate that process has been tremendous. And now we have actually, that has triggered a new work flex program for AMIs, which again, 12 months ago, we didn't think it was possible. And I think that's been a tremendous win, not just for AMIs, but for AMIs employees, because it gives us more flexibility. So that's definitely been a tremendous learning, unfortunately due to COVID, but it's been a tremendous experience for us and an area that I think is going to help us to continue to grow and attract talent to our organization. As far as what to tell students, I think there's automation and this fourth generation, or I think you call it something else, Brandon. Automation for us, it's a tremendous area of opportunity. Being a manufacturing, food manufacturing business, we continuously struggle with employee shortage. We struggle with the labor costs. We struggle with trying to keep up with capacity, especially now, again, due to COVID, our products are in very, very high demand. So there's a tremendous opportunity for students that are interested in science and technology to really go into this area of automation. There's a tremendous push on our organization right now to automate we assembled millions of meals on a monthly basis. And a lot of those meals right now are assembled by hand. So coming up with ideas to how we can use automation in existing and ever evolving technology to address those challenges. That process has started at AMIS and it's going to continue for the next several years. So as far as the skills that we will be looking for and that high school should start thinking for or start looking at, there are certain skills and some of the tools that Farid mentioned that are very critical, you know, math, physics. I from throughout my career, what I've really been experiencing is that the technical side of your job, it's something that comes fairly easy. You need some experience, and with experience, you're gonna get better at it. The area that always presents more challenges is around people and how you manage people, how you manage teams, how you handle yourself in a team environment, how inclusive can you be to all the members on your team, how open are you to diversity on your team. Those are aspects of managing people, being a strong project manager. Those are skills that a lot of times you don't get that type of training on university or high school environment. And those are, to me, they're, in many instances, I think to me, they're more important than the technical side because they really, really can set you for being a very successful manager to understand, or a successful employee to understand and how to manage people. And those, again, those skills sometimes are very difficult to teach, where the technical side are much easier to deal with. Typically, I tell some of my younger engineers, a piece of equipment will not talk back to you when you fix a problem, but try to do that with a group of 3 or 4 other engineers. It's much more of a challenge. So we're really learning those people skills. I think it's really key. And sometimes you find some individuals that's natural, that comes with them, they're part of their genes. Others struggle at it, but if you work at it, you will become a good manager. So.
Yeah, there's, you know, a collaborative effort to put together a handful of the key skills that are needed in order to succeed in life and career here in Sonoma County is called the Sonoma County Portrait of a Graduate. And I put a link in the chat to all of the panelists and attendees. But I would love to just invite the students to check that out if you haven't already seen that. That is a collaborative effort between multiple organizations. But also, you know, that had input from industry representatives, community members, educators, several hundred people worked together on that. And so what you see may be a simple list of characteristics that we think are key, but it's really a collaborative effort, and it's kind of what the community thinks are some of the most important ones. So I would say for students, check that out and really start to take some of those key attributes to heart and try to live that. Because I think, as Bert, as you said, you know, it's really hard to teach softer skills like basic communication versus, you know, learning a machine. That's a part of the job, right? Learning it on the job is a part of the job. So yeah, I definitely understand that. I think it's about time to get into the student Q&A. Wendy, I know that you've been monitoring some of the questions, so I'd love for you to maybe turn your camera on and see if we have any questions here.
Sure. This one is for Christine. Christine, what degree did you need for your work at Medtronic, and how many years did it take you to get there?
Yeah, I did biomedical science, and it took 4 years, and that was in Ireland that I did that. Yeah.
Great. Bert, there's a question for you to explain again where you are a VP.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get this.
I'm sorry, there's a question again. I think somebody missed in the beginning where it is that you are a VP.
So I'm a Vice President of Engineering for Amy's Kitchen. We're a frozen foods, organic, vegetarian food manufacturer, headquartered in Petaluma, California. We currently have 4 manufacturing facilities, mostly in the Western US. We're in the process of building a 5th manufacturing facility in Goshen, New York. And we are privately owned, and we employ currently probably around 2,500 employees.
Locally or total within the company?
Total with all, with our corporate office is located in Petaluma. That's where our family, the family that owns the business lives. And then we have manufacturing plants in Santa Rosa. We have a manufacturing plant in Medford, Oregon, Pocatello, Idaho, San Jose, California. It's our 4th plant. It's in the process of coming online right now. And then our Goshen, New York facility is due to start operating in early 2023.
Looking at the Q&A, I want to encourage students to feel free to keep asking questions in the Q&A. In the meantime, I actually have a question that I'd like to throw in, if I could, Wendy.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious on, the high schoolers, generally speaking, the students who are watching this are high school. We might get some before and after, but I'm wondering for those students, how they can get some experience in your field, whether it be through internships or job shadows or mentorships or anything like that. And so I'd love to open it up to any of the 3 panelists to just say what is possible where you are in your company.
So I can go first on this one.
Please,
so Medtronic does offer formal internships for college graduates. We did have a high school program, but obviously because of COVID, we've had to pull it back. We've maintained our college mentorship program virtually, so an internship virtually, so we've kept that going. Job shadowing is always available. It's obviously, again, a little bit harder. And then I would definitely say that I'm very open to mentorship or one-to-one conversations with individuals who are interested in a career in med device. I would say it's hugely rewarding. And it's been a huge, like, from what you said earlier as well about that continuous learning, I think that really struck with me. I did biomedical science. I started out, I was not really doing what I did, and I continued to learn. I learned my engineering skills, I learned financial skills to just continuously change what my role is into what I do today. So yeah, I'm open, and I can drop my details into the chat if anyone wants to talk.
I put a link
Thank
to the Medtronic summer internship program for graduating seniors, college students. So it's in the chat.
Thank you, Wendy.
So maybe I can go next. For Amy's kid, we also have an internship program for college students. I don't know if we do have or ever had one for high school students, but I think this might be the start of something new. So that's something that I will be talking internally and see if that's something that we would contemplate. I think would be a great opportunity of experience for young high school students to come in and see what it's like to make food. So, and then again, I'm also open for one-on-one mentorship if anybody has interest or wants to chat for half an hour, I would absolutely be open to that. And Brandon, feel free to extend my information to those individuals that might be of interested in it.
Yeah, will do. Thank you so much. I think that's so important to have someone in industry that you can reach out to and say, can you tell me what it's like, or tell me what it's really like, not what I read on the internet, when I'm exploring careers. I think that's wonderful.
We have a couple more.
Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry,
so let's see, anyone, but maybe Farid is best for this. What are your thoughts on AP and honors classes?
Yeah, I think we have a number of students who come into, at Sonoma State, for example, and they have already taken these AP courses. One of the big advantages is that they are definitely much more prepared. They can potentially even save a semester if they have taken enough of AP courses, and that one semester is a lot. It can really help you in terms of spreading the courses. So we definitely encourage the students to take these courses. In particular, those students who are actually ready and they can quickly go to the second semester of engineering courses. They can also apply for summer internship. So this is a great opportunity for them to not only get engaged in really exciting projects with some of the faculty. Some of these projects are also sponsored by the local industry, but they also get paid. We also always encourage the students, if they get a job outside the university, they should go and apply for that. But if they don't find anything, you can, if you have some free time, you should definitely get engaged in our summer research program and then work on some of the interesting projects that's coming. So we definitely encourage the students to take those courses.
Great. I'm going to ask for Bert and Christine. Another question is, does going to a four-year college matter for these jobs? you've kind of already hinted at that, but someone is asking you that directly.
Yeah, I can answer for Medtronic. So within Medtronic, there's a number of different opportunities you can start within Medtronic without a degree. Obviously, it's preferred because then you can get to an engineer level and above and work up from there. But there's also technician careers that are, really highly rewarding and also very well recognized within the organization. So there's multiple pathways within Medtronic.
Yeah, and for Amy's Kitchen, very similar. So we do have a very large maintenance teams at each of the facilities. So you could absolutely start as an apprentice or a mechanic. We do have some mechanics that started at that level, and then they made it into engineering side, and they made it into project managers, and they are doing extremely well. So what I always tell the individuals is don't look at not having a degree as a barrier, but the degree will facilitate and expedite your growth faster. It doesn't mean that if you don't have a degree, you cannot get to where you like to go. It just might take you a little bit longer. And as long as you have the patience, curiosity, you want to learn, you work well with people, I would say if you have a degree or you don't have a degree, you're going to do extremely well in life. Having said that, I would encourage you to stay in school, get your degree, and then go out and work. But you can absolutely do it if you don't have the degree also.
Time for one more? Brandon?
Yeah, I think so.
This is for you.
We're about on time, but we can go another 5 minutes.
Okay. So Bert, someone is asking that they know that there's a scholarship program at Amy's. They're wanting to know what are the benefits, and does it only apply to employees or for their family members?
The scholarship program we have, it's again for college students, and it is for children of Amy's employees. So you would have to have a parent that works for Amy's, and then you're able to apply for that scholarship, and you are eligible for that scholarship for the full 4 years that you are in school. And it's very helpful. And I actually have 4 children, and all of my children have applied for the scholarships and received scholarships, and so has many of Amy's employees' children. So it's a great program.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Someone is asking about qualifications for the internships, but I think we've kind of answered that most of the internships are for students out of high school, either just after their senior year or while in college, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
There is the Sonoma State Engineering Camp, and there's a link in the chat to that too.
So what do you think, Wendy? Should we wrap up there?
Yeah.
About time. Sorry if we didn't get to all the questions. I know they keep on coming through, which is great. And thank you so much, students, for staying engaged with us. I'd say if you have more questions that you want to ask, we do have some folks who on this panel that have offered the chance to speak to them. So take them up on that. I think that's a great opportunity. So as we wrap up, I want to thank all of our panelists today. Thank you, Bert, Christine, Farid. We appreciate you taking your time and sharing your experiences and your knowledge. Thank you, the students, for participating and attending. I want to let the students know that there is in the chat a link to an attendance form. So if your teacher is asking for proof of attendance to this, please fill that out. And I also want to let everybody know that at 2 o'clock we have a workshop coming up called One Step at a Time, where you are exploring your digital footprint while also talking about a way to leverage social media to make you more appealing to employers and potentially reach a larger audience. And that is featuring Brandon Verdu, a global talent acquisition brand specialist from Skechers. So I think that's a really cool workshop. If you have the time, I'd highly recommend attending that. So otherwise, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks, everybody.